Hi everyone, it's Andrea Tooley. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before we get started, I want to totally tell you about this shirt that I'm wearing from a fellow YouTuber and Instagram, Andrea Arnold, who is a PA, and she is amazing. You can follow her at Life of a PA on YouTube or Instagram, but she has this company called Medthusiast, and they make apparel, posters, decor, all kinds of awesome stuff, and I'm wearing one of her shirts, so I want to show you. This I Heart Medicine with a real heart, and I just think it's the cutest thing ever, so make sure to check her out. And if you need a shirt that'll give you some study motivation, or a new study shirt, or any kind of decor, anything like that for the Medthusiast in your life, you should definitely check it out. So thank you so much, Andrea. Today, I want to talk about some of the frequently asked Instagram questions that I get, and I'm so bad about responding to messages on Instagram, so I apologize. I read them all, and I just honestly do not have time to get to all of them, and so today I'm going to go through my Instagram and answer some of your questions. So let's get started. Okay, so our first question is from Ellie. Hello, my name is Ellie, and I'm a freshman in high school. I really want to get into the medical field, but I'm trying to decide whether I want to be a doctor or a nurse. We are being urged right now to figure out what we want to do when we grow up. I feel like I would be unsatisfied if I was a nurse and not a doctor, but I also worry if I have what it takes to be a doctor. I'm on the honors/AP track at my school, and I have an interview to volunteer at my local hospital. I was wondering if you have any advice for me or insight to what the challenges are with becoming a doctor. All right, well, thank you so much, Ellie. I think that we can answer your question in a myriad of ways. So one, I have an awesome video that I've done with one of my friends who was a nurse and then went to medical school after nursing school, and now she is an anesthesia resident. So I will link to that video below so you can kind of get some of her insights. The other thing I think I've talked about in lots of my videos is that I think that the medical journey, the path to getting to medical school is, it builds upon itself. And so if you don't know for sure if you're cut out for it when you're in high school, then that's okay. You can start on this path when you're in college, and every class that you take and every step along the way will either reaffirm the fact that you love it and that you think that you can handle the rigors of a career as a physician, or will make you kind of rethink and reevaluate and maybe choose a career path that you like even better. And so if you are failing organic chemistry and you hate it, or things like that, I think it helps you reevaluate and make those decisions along the way. So don't worry about the end point. You can start on the path to medicine, and if you decide that it's what you want to do, then great. And if you decide that you want to change your mind, then that's fine, and you haven't lost anything. And so my recommendation would be that if you're thinking of considering medicine out of high school, just go for it and see what happens. And if you realize that you want to do something else, then that's cool too. And then the other way I think we can answer your question, Ellie, is for everyone in this awesome community to kind of leave your comments below giving her advice, what you think about being a doctor versus a nurse, and if you think that if you feel like you would be unsatisfied doing nursing, but you worry about being able to handle the rigors of being a physician, what would you do? So leave your comments below because you guys are awesome, and I feel like your advice is just invaluable. All right, next question is, so this person says, I just recently started a master's program that had a built pathway into DO school. I started off this semester on a rough note and failed one class, but since then my GPA has steadily improved. I will be able to remediate with a C, but since most of my other grades have been high Bs, I don't have enough A's to balance out the 3 C's I have gotten. My GPA will be right under the 3.0 they require, but I truly think I can succeed as a physician, and I hope to still be considered. Do you have any suggestions on what I can do so that the admissions committee will strongly consider me? Thank you so much. All right, thank you so much for your message. I'm sorry that you've been struggling with your semester. So, this is tough because having below a 3.0 I think is going to be really challenging to make it into a PA or medical school. or DO school is what you have this direct pathway to. So it's hard to know exactly what the requirements of your school are. I think that if you like you said in your message, truly believe that you have what it takes and that you can be a great physician and succeed, then you should keep going. You know, you don't need to let this keep you back, but it's going to be hard. It's definitely not going to be easy to kind of catch up from where you're starting from. And so I think that I've kind of talked about this in other videos before, which I will link below, but getting a bad grade or having a rough semester is not necessarily a bad thing in terms of being a pre-medical student. People understand. And as long as you're able to improve and the trend after having a rough semester shows improvement, then I think that that's what matters significantly more. And the other thing will be what you get on the MCAT. And so getting a strong MCAT score is going to be super important for this, because you're going to have to prove that you can handle the challenges and the stress of a high academic course load that is medical school. And so really you've got your work cut out for you, but I don't think that it's impossible. You're just going to have to be able to explain kind of what happened with your grades and then show that you can handle it going forward. So at this point, after having 3 C's, 1 F that you remediated into a C, and then the rest B's, then I would do several things. 1, make sure that this is the path that you know you want to be on. You say that you do and you truly think you have what it takes to succeed, so that's great. But definitely do some soul searching and make sure, because you're going to need like straight A's, maybe a B or so thrown in there, but you're going to need to really step it up. And if you're not loving it, and if you don't think that it's something that you can do, then that's okay. You want to be happy, and you shouldn't push yourself down a certain path just because you think you have to. So that's the first thing I would do. And then as long as you decide that you want to keep going, then I would really get to it. I would meet with people who can help you figure out how to study better, how to do better in your classes, figure out where you're struggling and why you're not doing well in these classes, and then focus on getting your grades up, number 1, and then focusing on just dominating the MCAT, number 2. So this school that she mentions in this comment, I'm not sure if it requires the MCAT or not. It says a built-in pathway to DO school. So I'm not 100% positive about that. If you don't have to take the MCAT, then your grades are going to matter even more, because that's the only thing they can go off of. And so just continue to improve, and I think you can do it. Okay, next question. Hi, Andrea. I don't know if you'll see this, but I was wondering how the residency lifestyle is for you. So far, I'm only a second-year undergrad, but the long, grueling hours of residency you see on TV scare me. I've always wanted to be a doctor, specifically a pediatrician, but also be able to have a life outside of that. So my question is, how easy is it for you to balance being a wife and being a doctor? Do you still find time for Kyle? That's my husband. Thanks. This is such a great question, because work-life balance is never easy and is always something that you have to work on to achieve in your life if you're in the medical field. And so I think I will share my experience from residency and what I have learned about work-life balance. Medical school, I'll start with medical school. I felt like I was able to have a really good work-life balance in medical school. I studied a lot, but there were definitely tons of time that I had free time that I was able to do what I want. The hard thing about medical school is that your schedule, you can't decide when you're going to have exams and when you're going to have other important things that you can't miss. And so you do end up having to miss family events and weddings and things like that because it's exam week and you have no control over that. And so in terms of your schedule, I think for medical school that's hard, but in terms of work-life balance, I think it's very doable in medical school because you're just studying and you can prioritize if you have something you want to do on the weekend, or if you want to be able to come home from school and be able to be done and spend time with your family, then you can get up early and study in the morning, or do all of your work while you're still on campus, and then when you come home be done. Or study hard during the week so that over the weekend you have time to do your own kinds of things. So medical school is easy. Residency, I think, kind of ebbs and flows. So depending on what residency program you're in, almost all residencies have different rotations. And those rotations may last 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months. When I was in my intern year doing internal medicine at Mayo Clinic, all my rotations were 1 month. And now that I'm in ophthalmology, I have some that are 1 month, but most of our rotations are 2 months. And so depending on the rotation that you are on, your schedule will differ and vary dramatically. And so because of that, work-life balance is something that you have to kind of adjust and try to make work all the time. And it's never a set schedule. I don't think, at least for me, it's not. And so for me, I really had to just kind of try to change and readjust to make things work. So, for example, I like to get up really early and either work out or study in the morning because when I come home from work, I like to be with Kyle, my husband, and my dog. And I'm not productive. I'm not very good at studying. I'm not very good at getting work done. And I don't want to because I want to be with my husband. And so I make a big effort to make sure that all of the things that I need to get done are pretty much done before I go home. So I get up really early in the morning. I either study in the morning or do work or those kinds of things in the morning, or I work out, and then I go to work and I try to get as much done and be productive throughout the day while I'm at work. And then when I go home, it's time for Kyle and time to not be doing residency related stuff. Now that's not always the case because sometimes I have a lot going on or I have a deadline or whatever and I still need to do stuff when I get home. So I'll come home and have dinner with Kyle and then I have to go upstairs to my kind of little office study room and do my own thing. And so it just depends on what's going on. But I'd say for the most part, I am able to spend time with my husband and my dog every night. Now, it's not easy because there's so many times where I can't do all the things I want to do. So I don't have time to clean the house as much as I'd like to. Or I don't have time to walk the dog as much as I'd like to because sometimes in the morning I get up early to study and then I have to go to work. And I don't have time to walk the dog in the morning with my husband, and so he has to do that by himself. When I come home from work, I'll walk the dog with him, but things like that. So I can never do as much as I wish I could, and that's always hard because I feel like you're always feeling like you're not pulling your weight, and I feel like I'm not a good wife, and I'm not a good resident, and I'm not a good, it's really hard, and that's why I think you need to keep adjusting it and keep trying to tweak things to make everything work better, because it's never going to be perfect, but that doesn't mean that you can't make your lifestyle work for you. So I don't want to discourage any woman from medicine because they're worried about family work-life balance. And I think that this is very specific to women. I don't think that men feel this pressure and have this issue and worry as much as women do. And there are thousands of women physicians who have huge families who make it work. And it doesn't mean that you can't do it. You just have to figure out what works for you, and there's no set formula, and there's no easy way. So for me, things that make it work are making food on the weekend so that I don't have to cook throughout the week. But some people, that might be just like going out to eat all the time because that's easier for them. Getting up early in the morning works for me, but other people might hang out with their families in the morning and then stay up late at night after everybody else goes to bed in order to get things done. And so it completely is dependent on who you are, how your family dynamic works. And I know that this isn't a great answer, but I want to be honest and say that work-life balance has not been easy as a resident. And I have many, many times where I feel like I'm not being a good wife or not being a good friend or not being a good resident or not being a good mom to my dog or anything like that. And it's really hard, and it's okay. You just get through it. And so I don't want to paint this rosy picture that it's easy because it's not. But it's totally worth it. My husband is very understanding and he knows what I'm going through, and I have great days at work. I absolutely love my job. I love being in surgery. I love seeing my patients. I'm very, very happy when I'm at work, and then I'm very happy when I come home and it's totally different. And so, yeah, that's been my experience. I don't know how helpful that is, and so I apologize if it's not. I'll work on trying to get more content on work-life balance or having a family, because I know a lot of you have questions about having kids or being able to have a family, but I absolutely want you to know that it's completely doable. I follow this incredible plastic surgeon on Instagram, Dr. Devgan, and she has 5 kids, and she's just a boss, and she's killing it, and she's a plastic surgeon. And so I'll link her below, but she's total goals and inspiration. And there's tons of other female physicians that have huge families and that are making everything work. And so you can do it. You just have to kind of figure out how you're going to do it, and that's different for everybody. So I hope you enjoyed those 3 questions. I will try to answer more Instagram questions for you. I'll try to work really hard on getting more of those questions answered. But in the meantime, please leave your comments below. I love the discourse that we all have with each other, and I really appreciate you watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a video, since I'm pretty sporadic about posting them. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye!